I'm not sure to what extent I thought of my vocation as a missionary vocation. I felt inspired to become a priest, but when I was young, at that time, none of the distinctions were there in my mind. I knew our parish priest, who inspired me a great deal, and I said to myself, well, I really feel called to be a priest, to be like him. And so I pursued this. I ended up, it's a long story, ended up as a Redemptorist. And as a Redemptorist, became very aware of this term mission, because Redemptorists are missionary priests, but in a particular way. I was assigned with the Redemptorists to the parish in Grande Prairie, Alberta in 1999, went there, a very delightful parish, and was the parish priest for a number of years. It was only when I was made the bishop of that same diocese, I was ordained in early 2007, began to realize that even though I had been, stationed in that diocese for a number of years by then, really didn't venture much further outside of Grande Prairie. Began to realize we have a great number of First Nations. There are 19 First Nations in that diocese. There are 4 Métis settlements. And as I began to travel around the diocese, began to understand in a much better way what mission is about in that sense. When the Holy Father began speaking about new evangelization, I think we began to realize a further element to mission, that really the whole church is missionary. We've always been. This is what Jesus Christ established, was a missionary church. It was one that went out, that brought the message that Jesus brought about the kingdom of God, and how his suffering, dying, and rising again can give meaning and purpose to our life. I think that's what people need. CMIC is absolutely essential in my diocese, because we have so many communities that are unable to sustain themselves, and yet we're called to mission to them, to be present to them. We've received grants that help our lay formation community efforts, our youth ministry. They help with some of the building of our churches, but a lot of it is in terms of having a priest who is able to minister. This is very important to our Indigenous people, presence. They know that the priest is in their community, and they feel a certain spiritual assurance in knowing that there is a priest there looking after them. When they need him, they know that he's there. One of the realities, and you'll find this in the north, that communities are very small and they're widespread. They're far from one another. And we struggle in my diocese to find the best way in order to do lay formation. The priest is not always going to be there. And it isn't just that the priest isn't there. I mean, there are gifts that people are given of leadership, of spiritual guidance, and trying to tap that to identify the individuals, to give them the kind of training, which a lot of it is assurance, giving people the sense that I'm able to do this. The spiritual life is lost on very few. And so I think people long for that kind of message, because it gives value to our life. It reminds us that there's more to what life is about. There's another plane, another level at which we truly live, and we're destined for more than what maybe I'm doing at this moment of this day. The real issue is that young people need to have a sense that they are called. I've started saying to people, when you meet young people, you're sometimes tempted to say, so what do you want to be when you grow up? I've stopped asking that question. The question I want to ask you now is, so what does God want you to be when you grow up? Well, sometimes they're taken aback. Oh, what does God want? I never thought about that. Well, yeah, what does God want you to be when you grow up? Vocations are not only a need in the church. Vocations are a need in the child. The child growing up has to have a sense of, what is my destiny? What is it that God is calling me to do with my life? If my life comes from God, then my life has to lead to God. It's not only our past, but it's our future, it's our destiny.